Hi friends, welcome to my channel. My name is Jerry. My channel is dedicated to helping people go through a difficult time. And today I have a book review for you. The whole reason why I decided to read this book was I had gotten into an argument with somebody in my family. And this is a person, it's like, man, we've done so much to cultivate the relationship that we have in our life. But there's just an area sometimes where we'll get into a conversation and then we do not understand each other. We just butt heads. And I was like, why do I react a certain way? Why is that a reaction of mine? It's not about them. It's not about what they said or what they did. It's about my reaction. Why are my reactions this way? And so I was talking to a family member about that, and she was just like, you really should check out this book that I'm reading. So the book is Origins of You. It's by Vienna Pharaon. She is a marriage and family therapist, and she has over 25,000 hours of just sitting in front of clients and talking with them. I'm sure it's a lot more of that by now. I was like, I will do anything to understand this part of my character. Why is it that when I feel like I'm getting criticized, why do I become so defensive? And this book opened my eyes. It made me realize, man, there's some apologies that I have to make. And it made me really step back and reobserve the conversation that I had had with this other person and go, wow, it was actually me, my perspective. And so what I really liked about this book is that if you can read a self-help book and it gives you the ability to go, poof, like that's a big deal. I think the book is great for anybody who's on a self-help healing journey. And if you really want to make some changes to your character, maybe understand your perspective a little bit more, because the perspective that you have is a reality that you will live in. And if you have a little bit of a character defect, whether you are somebody who compares or criticizes or is negative or can get really defensive, there's just some times where you have to step back and go, okay, what is it about me? Sometimes you got to humble yourself and look within. What I liked about this book, Origins of You, is that it involved a number of true stories. So she takes her client's perspective and some of the stories that they've shared with her in therapy. In some way, shape, or form, you're going to relate to somebody in the book. You might have not had the same upbringing, but the experience that they're having or the reaction that they're having, you might relate to and be able to apply that to your life as well. So she does an involved approach to unpacking the baggage of your childhood. Now, I've been in therapy before where I've had therapists try to go over childhood stuff, but I never really fully understood it until I listened to this book, because I'm an audio learner, so I listen on Audible versus reading. She goes over 5 key origin wounds, and I'll just list them off for you. And because what she wants to do is identify the wounding that resonates with you. So she'll go over each of them. And I do strongly suggest listening to each wounding, because as I was listening to it, I was like, oh, I relate to that, or oh, I relate to that. But really, there was one that stood out to me. So the 5 wounds include prioritization, belonging, worthiness, safety, and trust. So it really looks at she looks at your childhood and sees where maybe something resonated with you, like a prioritization wound. If you are in a relationship with somebody and you don't feel like a priority, or you have friendships and nobody ever makes you a priority, it could be because in your childhood you felt like you weren't a priority. Also, a sense of belonging. Do you find yourself trying to adapt to groups that you really don't have anything in common with? Maybe you have a lot of friends that go drink and party and they do all this stuff, but it's just not something that you're not being authentic to yourself. Like, you really don't want to go do those things, but you do them because you want to belong. Worthiness. Maybe you're the kind of person who's like, man, I've never had a job that paid me for what I'm worth. I don't even know if I'm that talented. Or maybe you've never had a healthy relationship and you feel like you're not even worthy of dating. It could be from like maybe your childhood, you were criticized a lot. It could be a safetyness wounding. Maybe as a child, you were not safe. Maybe you were subject to violence or molestation or something like that. She'll go over that in the book, as well as trust. Maybe as a child, you had to keep a secret. And that could be something that you've brought into your adulthood. So you're not really trusting of people. You don't think people are really good or trustworthy underneath it all. And so she will go over these in the book, and then she does a 4-step process of origin healing, and that is like a practice. So first of all, she'll identify the wound. She'll go through that. She'll have you witness it. So you spend time observing where that wounding happened in your life. And then you acknowledge it. And you acknowledge it still to this day where it might affect you. And then you grieve that wounding. You sit with yourself in those moments where you're feeling maybe not like a priority or worthy or so on and so forth. And then she'll also have you learn how to pivot and make new patterns in your life. She goes over the woundings first, then she'll go over during each of them this 4-step process, and then she talks about how you communicate as somebody who might be wounded in this way, how you go through conflict, and how you can set boundaries. And I'll just tell you, after going through this book, I'm like, I really do need to listen to this over and over again a little bit for a while to make it a practice in my life. You kind of have to callous it in your life. You have to make certain things a practice. If I'm not stepping outside of myself in a conversation where I feel like I'm being criticized, and I'm trying to observe it from a different point of view and going, okay, but why am I reacting to it this way? And is that person saying certain things, is that actually criticizing, or is it just from their point of view? Because what I find is if I take something as criticism, that's not criticism. I feel it brush up against that wounding, and then I react from that standpoint of the wounding. I don't react from my authentic self, knowing that, I am worthy. It really is just how you take it yourself. There's a lot of aha moments in the book, and I strongly suggest this book to anybody who wants to look within, find some character defects, pull them out, and understand, like, how can I change and how can I develop my character in this area of my life to have some healthy patterns going into the next chapter of my life. So I hope I've given you enough information on whether or not you want to open up and read this book. Well, until next time, bye.